Howdy everyone, thanks for watching CheapShot. I don't know if you've been to Control Pew's Twitter lately, but he has a file drop for some AR-15 Foregrip accessory packs. You click through them and they look pretty good. Um, it's got an M-lock and a Picatinny rail foregrip, as well as some adapters that if you wanted to, and I don't know why, but if you wanted to use a pistol grip as a foregrip, you can do that. I tried to print these and I tried twice and I failed. So I have a critique for Mr. Freeman1337. Please give him the credit he deserves. I have one critique and I have one edit that you can do to fix that critique, in my opinion, as well as customize these grips a little bit. So let's talk about my critique. When you load into Cura, it loads sideways. I don't think that this is the way that he intends it to be printed. I'm fairly confident looking at these pictures, looking at the difference of the layer lines. There's a README that doesn't have any documentation on it as far as orientation goes. So I'm assuming it's either going to be this top or this bottom. Now, one issue is he has filleted, he has rounded both the top. Well, he has rounded this bottom part right here. So if I click on this and I want to lay flat on the build plate, I can't do it because there's not necessarily a flat spot for it to lay. And if I manually try and position it, you'll see that, you just can't get it to quite lay perfectly down how you wanted. It's just not gonna work. Another issue is maybe he wanted you to print, well, and then if you print it this side, you have to have support in the inside. But then another thing is if you wanted to print it on this side, that's totally fine. I would suggest doing just support underneath here. You don't need it going up the body with these ridges because he rounded these out. I do appreciate that. That's a good job. But once again, it's rounded down here, as well as, unless your supports are completely perfected, you're gonna have a lot of issues with the first layer down here adhering, and it can look bad. That's fine because you're gonna shove it up. It's gonna be up against your rifle anyway, but it's not very inducive to 3D printing. Like I said, this is a great looking design. This is a little thicker than I'd like. It adds a lot of time. You can see that if I were to slice it like this, it's got to do, if I do 4 walls, which is very thick, it's got to do 4 walls, and then a lot of infill. So we really want to minimize that infill as much as possible, which could have been very easy by just making this thicker on the inside, So all that infill takes a lot of time. That's a critique too, Mr. Freeman. So how can we fix this? Well, let's fix this bottom part. If you want to print this, if you like the way it looks, you want to print this, let's do that. And then we'll show you how we can customize this to make your rifle pretty much cooler. We're gonna make a plane, an offset plane, and we're just basically gonna eyeball it and drag it down to this bottom part. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get rid of that chamfer down there at the bottom. Like I said, just kind of eyeballing it, and then we can select it. Doesn't matter what shape we pick because we're going to go down and we're basically just going to delete it. Now, one thing to know, if you are using Fusion 360 and you're releasing these files, you can release the Fusion 360 files as well, and then we would have had the construction tree. That would have been super nice. But we can do that. It'll print fine. You might want to do some tree support for up here. Honestly, you could probably bridge that, and even if you can't, it looks fine anyway. Once again, he's got all these rounds. They look nice, but they're not needed, and in fact, when you have it on that Z-axis, they're not going to show up very good either, especially ones that small. So I would have just omitted those to begin with. Freeman, join my Discord if you'd want to talk about this a little bit more. You want some critiques. I do applaud you for making this and putting it out there. I never do it, so it's easy to be a critic when you're not actually doing it yourself. So I do applaud you. Now let's say we want to take and customize this a little bit. We can throw some text in here. So let's say I wanted to throw CheapShot in here. I can get that in there, make it bold, and just kind of adjust it a little bit. It looks like it's going to be -7.5. And then I can drag it into its final position. Whoops. And then what I can do is I can take this and I can extrude it in. Now please keep in mind, people, that I'm working with the STEP, not the STL. I can go negative 0.5, it doesn't matter. You kind of want to do a multiple of your wall lines, but this will be fine. And there you can customize it a little bit for your liking. So like I said, just a couple critiques on this. If you plan on printing it, you're having some issues, Freeman, please join my Discord. I would love to talk about this. And as always, thanks for watching CheapShot.